Rags to riches in business. Is it a fairy tale or a skill set? Come find out right here on The Leadership Voice. Welcome to The Leadership Voice. I'm your host, Jay Barbuto. This show features insights and advice around everything related to leadership and leadership development. Joining us today are two successful entrepreneurs, including Terry Giles of Giles Enterprises and Charlie Zhang of Zion Enterprises. We also have with us Professor Atul Teckchandani with today's leadership lesson. Let's get things started with our quote of the day. Today's quote comes from a six-time NFL champion coach. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. That was Vince Lombardi, coach of the Green Bay Packers. Our first guest grew up from humble means and attended 21 different schools in a 10-year period in his life. He earned a debate scholarship en route to earning his bachelor's degree from Cal State Fullerton, and later pursued a law degree from Pepperdine. He also served this great country in the U.S. Army from 1970 to 1976 during the Vietnam conflict. One of Southern California's most esteemed litigators, Terry Giles founded a large West Coast law firm and later bought a small Toyota dealership and built it up to become one of the highest volume dealerships in the world. He went on to establish or acquire 35 businesses and has experience in law, automobiles, banking, food, entertainment, intellectual property, and more. In 1994, Terry Giles received the Horatio Alger Award, given each year to individuals that have overcome great odds to achieve great successes. He gives back to the community, and this philanthropy has featured a strong commitment to education. In 2009, he was the founding benefactor that funded the creation of the Center for Leadership in Mahalo College of Business and Economics. Today, The Leadership Voice is proud to host a man that epitomizes the rags to riches theme of today's show. Please welcome a terrific businessman and one of the most principled people I know, Mr. Terry Giles.
Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me on.
Terry, it's so great to have you on the show. Our viewers are going to love getting to know you.
Well, thanks.
Why don't we just start right in, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you started your law practice and eventually moved into other ventures.
Well, you know, in grade school and junior high school, the areas where I seemed to do the best was when I had to get up and talk, oral book reports, things of that nature. Then eventually I got into speech and debate in both high school and college. And the truth of the matter is, I think I just wanted to figure out how to get paid to talk. And I thought being a trial lawyer was the best way to do that. And I was raised on Perry Mason and Owen Marshall. So being a trial lawyer to me meant being a criminal defense lawyer. It sounded interesting and exciting. So I came out of law school and I started my own practice. And within 5 years, we were making over 600 criminal court appearances a month. We had 35 lawyers and over 100 employees, which in a civil firm is not much, but it's a monster firm in the area of criminal defense. Right. And in 8.5 years, I was able to try 90 cases to verdict, including 13 murder cases and 3 death penalty cases.
Wow. And so how did you then transition that, the law practice, because it seemed like you had this great thing going.
Yeah.
So how did you transition from being a highly successful litigator to becoming an amazingly successful entrepreneur?
Well, as you mentioned in the beginning, I came from a pretty poor background. We had to move around a lot in 3 different states, Missouri, Arizona, and California. And so I really wanted to be successful. And after 8.5 years in the criminal practice, I had really sort of gotten to the top of my field. Had the big house on the hill, the beautiful wife, everything seemed perfect. And I represented a gentleman by the name of Fred Douglas, who was accused of killing 9 women. And we caught some breaks in the trial, and I ended up getting Fred off. And 6 months later, he killed 2 more girls. I found out about it when I was on my very first vacation. Been practicing 8.5 years on vacation in Hawaii, and I got the news. And I was devastated by it. And I had to ask myself, is the world a better place because I do what I do for a living? And I decided it wasn't. So I went back from vacation and I quit. And I decided I would do something else. And there were two things that I discovered. One was I'd actually built a business called the Practice of Law from scratch. So why couldn't I do that again? And then secondly, because it's a personal service business and I was the main rainmaker for the firm, I realized that once I left, the firm wasn't worth anything. So I couldn't sell it to my partners. I gave it to them, and sure enough, in 6 months, the firm had dissolved. So I decided my next business was going to be a real enterprise. So that if a bus ran over me, hopefully people would miss me, but the business wouldn't suffer any dilution in value. And I remember reading a Forbes magazine in the fall of '83 that said, on the front, it said, "What's the most valuable franchise in America? Open up to page so-and-so, you'll be surprised." I did, and I was very surprised, because it said a Toyota dealership. Now, that's hard to imagine today, but in 1983, the big Japanese car was a sports car called the 240Z.
Right, by Datsun.
Yeah, it later became Nissan. But Toyota wasn't even on anybody's map, in my opinion. And sure enough, after reading that, I heard about a small dealership in Garden Grove Toyota, that was for sale. It was selling 35 cars a month. Out of 1,200 Toyota dealerships in the United States, it was number 1,150 in size. And caught some breaks, and over a 3-year period, Toyota of Garden Grove became the 5th largest Toyota dealership in the world, selling a little over 1,100 cars a month. Yeah, so that's really how it started.
That's an amazing trajectory, and I know you also were involved in some other things. You were involved in with a bank.
During that period of time, I became chairman of Pacific National Bank in Southern California, and I also bought into a company that owned the Canon office machine business for the greater Los Angeles area. At that time, a population base of 13 million. And in October of 1985, fax machines hit the market for the first time. And we became overnight the 3rd largest distributor of fax machines in the country.
So you were in on fax machines back when fax machines were just starting to come out, and now they're
exactly
almost a thing of the past.
Yes.
So you've obviously made some great investments during your career, and I think what our viewers would love to know are, what are some of your guiding principles when you're trying to decide whether a business is going to be a good investment?
Well, first of all, I recognize the things I don't know. So part of it is doing a lot of research, and part of it is surrounding myself with people who are better than I am, people who have skill sets that I don't have. For instance, I have a great friend who's been involved with me in my investment portfolio over the last 25 years. His name's Dave Dalton. Dave is to call him an accountant would be a misnomer. He's one of the leading experts in world taxation. And he is perhaps one of the most cynical people I've ever met. I like to say that Dave is a compulsive truth-telling pessimist. But I love doing deals with Dave because he brings the accounting and tax to the table. I bring the legal. He brings pessimism. I bring optimism. If we can agree on an investment, I feel very confident in how it'll turn out.
That's great. And so as you think of your career, you've been going at this for a while now. Is there something you wish you'd known at the very beginning of your career that you think might have been helpful for you to know then?
Yeah, I think I was so driven because of my childhood. I was so driven to be successful that I did allow my business life to dominate my life. And, it cost me a marriage. And I feel bad about that. I feel bad about that today. She was a beautiful, wonderful lady. But the truth is, over the period of time we were married, we grew in different directions. And I wish somebody had told me early on to balance more my personal life with my business life. So if I have a regret, it's that I became addicted to business and entrepreneuring. So
if you were to meet somebody new and they were to say that they're an aspiring entrepreneur, they want to start a business, they want to start a venture, they want to make it big, what advice might you give somebody if you were to meet a new aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing is you have to develop, if it's not already there, you have to develop a low fear factor. Christopher Columbus is supposed to have said that you can't cross the ocean until you're not afraid to lose sight of the shore. And the truth is, anytime you're involved in a brand new business or taking a small business and making it big, you are in essence going out to the end of the high dive, and a lot of times you got to go off and hope there's water in the pool. So it's different than courage. Courage is what our young men and women do in Afghanistan and Iraq and putting their lives on the line. This is something different than that. But it's to have a low fear factor and be able to take on circumstances that others might be afraid to do, which opens up the opportunity for somebody to step in there.
No, that's terrific. As you look back, you've had a lot of successes. You've had a wonderful career, and it's still going. What are you most proud of?
You know, probably today is the philanthropic stuff that we do. My wife and I give out a lot of scholarships around the country. I'm lucky enough to be the chairman of the scholarship committee at Horatio Alger. We're now giving close to $30 million worth of scholarships out to great young people that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to go to college every year. So I would say probably the work we're doing in helping young people. And then the other thing is my involvement with Landmark Worldwide. I'm chairman of the company, and I do believe that particular enterprise makes the world a better place.
No, that's terrific. You know, Terry, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. You have such an amazing story, and the world needs to hear it. And any person that ever wonders, is it possible, you know, to start out in humble means and still make it big, all they need to do is hear your story and hear your conviction and see the amount of zeal and energy that you put into everything you do. So, Terry, on behalf of the Leadership Voice, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jay. It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure. And now it's time for a featured segment of the Leadership Voice. It's today's Did You Know? Today's Did You Know comes from smallbiztrends.com. Anyone starting a new venture may ask themselves, what are my chances of succeeding? Well, first-time founders of new businesses have just an 18% chance of success, while founders of previously successful businesses have a 30% chance of success with their new venture. Even founders who have failed at a prior business stand a greater chance of future success than first-time founders. This speaks to the old adage that if at first you don't succeed, try again, as your chances will get better with each try. But still, the best predictor of success in a new venture is still success in past ventures. It's now time for our Leadership Countdown, where we give you, our viewers, a list that can guide your quest for excellence. Today, our countdown comes from BusinessInsider.com. The Leadership Voice brings you the 7 steps to building a multi-million-dollar empire. The first step is to find your gift. When you start out, you must realize that you have raw talents, skills, and abilities. Sometimes you'll have to go out of your way to find them for yourself. No one will find your gifts for you. You have to search deep within, and then you must make a special effort to do what you do best, whether it's dancing, drawing, or driving. The second step for building a $1 million business is to tell your story. Most people should take the time to think about their story. Your story is important because it tells the world where you've been, who you are, and where you're about to go. Truthfully, everyone wants to know your story, and for many, hearing it can be a major source of inspiration. The third step is to make a product. If you want to build a multi-million-dollar business, you need to produce and sell a product, and you must have a story to tell. When you look at the biggest brands out there, they share a story along with their products and services. Thankfully, it doesn't cost that much to make a product that fits the needs of the people you're trying to serve. What kind of product can you make within the next few months? The fourth step for building a multi-million-dollar business is to expand. As you serve your clients successfully, your business will grow. You should continuously find different sources of income and new ways to serve people. You should always find ways to improve your business, even in the smallest increments. Keep asking yourself, how can we deliver more value to our people in less time? The fifth step is to build systems. As your business expands, you'll need to create systems that support you. Systems that work in your favor will keep your growing business from overwhelming you. The right system allows you to protect your most valuable asset, which is your time. The sixth step is also very important. You need to hire well. Once your systems have gone beyond your own capabilities, it's time to hire great people that can add value to your business. Some aspiring entrepreneurs overlook this and end up with titles and roles that don't really help the business reach the next level. If you bring in the wrong people, you may have misaligned values or lost priorities, and this will derail your progress. So remember to hire great people, even if the task may seem less vital. The seventh step to building a multi-million-dollar empire is to mass produce. Once you get a good grip on serving your market, you're going to want to scale and leverage your business. To build a multi-million-dollar empire, you'll need to produce on a massive level. However, the only way you can cater to the masses is by using your feedback to reach a bigger audience. You should be able to get this feedback from those you've already served. And that, viewers, has been your Leadership Countdown, as we have explored the 7 steps needed to build a multi-million-dollar empire. Up next on The Leadership Voice, we will have businessman Charlie Zhang in the studio, so stick around and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Well, we found here at Honda Center and the Anaheim Ducks that the Center for Leadership brings expertise in doing research, in doing training. The faculty that has come and given the training to our employees does all the research themselves. They're not pulling this information off the shelf. They're out there researching themselves, talking from firsthand experience, and it brings such a level of competency that we, again, don't find from other trainers that are on the market.
Well, simply put, is what really differentiates and distinguishes Fullerton and the Center for Leadership really is your expertise. You guys are able to create customized content for our business based on true research.
The faculty from Cal State Fullerton, obviously they're professors of their field. They have deep knowledge and research, but also, aside from the theory, they really bring in some practical examples, and they bring in a lot of interactive activities.
The Bringing Learning to Work initiative is our way of meeting the needs of Orange County businesses and communities. When our clients ask the Center for Leadership to come to bring learning to work, the clients know that they're getting cutting-edge information, the latest thinking in the field, but they're also getting world-class training. Welcome back to The Leadership Voice. Our second guest came to this country with $20 in his pocket and pursued the American dream like few ever have. He started out working in a small Chinese food restaurant as a busboy and eventually saved enough money to open his first restaurant, Shanghai Charlie's. He later started the popular restaurant chain Pickup Sticks, which grew to over 100 stores before selling that to TGI Fridays in 2001. He then revolutionized organic bottling with his bottling company, Aseptic Solutions, which he later sold in 2012. Ever the entrepreneur, Mr. Zhang has started or invested in many, many companies during his career, crossing many industries. He is philanthropic and frequently gives back to the community in a variety of causes. He was recognized as Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young and received the Spirit of Life Award from City of Hope. The Leadership Voice is honored to host such a great entrepreneur, a great person with a terrific heart. Join me in welcoming Mr. Charlie Zhang.
Okay, good to see you.
Charlie, thank you so much for being on The Leadership Voice.
Thank you.
Our viewers are so happy that you're here.
Good. Same here.
Great. Charlie, our viewers are dying to know how it is that you were able to come over to this country with such humble beginnings and be able to succeed on such a large scale. Could you talk about how you began your career in the U.S.?
Yes. I came in United States 1980 with $20 in the pocket. with the music instrument, play clarinet. My dream is to be the music student and become musician. But kind of the dream is not immediately will be a success because the $20 didn't holding very long. So I have to looking for a job to make a living, to continue go on. After many interview, many job, looking for many jobs, so ended up hired as a busboy and a kitchen help. Within first week, I cut my finger. So with a music student, finger being severe damage, nerve so I'm not able to feel this is gonna be go on. So I can't play clarinet, that's my instrument. So the story keep go on, so I feel, I'm in the business, I have a job. I wanna working hard and continue driving what I can do the best I can. So I just stuck in the restaurant business, learn all the things possibly you can learn. So 27 months later, I succeed. I earned $7,200. And also I learned a lot of skill set from kitchen to from management. So went to open my own restaurant.
Which was Shanghai Charlie's.
Shanghai Charlie in Dana Point.
In Dana Point. And how long was Shanghai Charlie's in business? How long was that?
30 years.
30 years.
From 1983, and we ended 2014.
Oh, wow. And so then how did you transition from Shanghai Charlie's to starting the chain of pickup sticks?
Well, the first 5 years, it's a pretty struggle and a learning, and I'm kind of striving, continue go on. I work very hard. It's almost 24/7 tension for grow the restaurant, the mom pop, learn all the aspect, kind of learn what American people like for the food. So first 5 years through many kind of obstacle and overcome all the difficulty, and open also during the 5 years I opened many other small restaurants like a Japanese, open like a Thai food and others. So in 1989 I feel this is the recipe it's American will like, and service and decor. So I established Pickup Sticks, 1989.
That's great. And then you built that. You added another store, and then added another store, and then you started a commissary, and then it just continued to grow the business.
Yes.
And then you sold it.
Yes.
And then you ended up in the bottling business.
Yes.
And could you talk a little bit about the different beverages that you've had a chance to work with?
I always love food beverage, and I feel the food, I've succeed on this. So what's next? I'm still young that time, so went to open a beverage business. So I used to buy milk, 2 gallon. Always end of the day, half gallon have to dump it. The reason is the shelf life is not there. So when we are now doing the restaurant, I learned something aseptic technology from Europe. But American FDA haven't really recognized and proved yet. So I take that shot to able to prove by FDA, open the aseptic technology called aseptic solution manufacturing in city of Corona. So working very hard from new business to learning and the same kind of things, keep it driving and working really hard to carry all the team together. So we succeed. So 8 years later, and a public company want to buy us. So
And so since then, you've continued to invest, and continuously you've been investing in different types of businesses, different types of industries. Our viewers would love to know, Charlie, how do you decide whether a business is going to be a good investment? So when you're choosing between different companies or different ideas, how do you decide if it's going to be a good one?
Well, we are all learning. I don't have any magic, answer. But every business, you had to first of all do good homework. Feel this is that really people will like. Just forget if some people want to talk good about train. We're gonna do it. Just humble to learn, to underwrite, do good job on this. Need a hands-on. Then as soon as you are involved, we have to working very hard to driving it. And none of a business succeed without to just kind of be lacking of effort. Need working hard.
So hard work has been a big part of your success. And I've heard you say on many times, I've had the opportunity to hear you speak in other situations, and you've always talked about working hard and the need to really work hard. And you've really epitomized that. Now, as you look back at your career, not that it's time to look back, but as you look at your career, what are you most proud of so far?
I'm really proud of it. Now talking about career, the first few years try to make a living,
right?
Kind of be surviving. But I think getting into establish some business, I really looking into. Have a family, I have 2 kids. I feel my obligation raise the kids. So I'm now able to succeed in the education school. I want to raise the kids, great education. They're both, I'm proud of it. They graduate from UC system. So, and also other than career, I think great country let me success. I went to the church life, it's really helping, it's kind of a spiritual and give me to do the right things. Other things I'm proud of it. Lately, I have established it's called OC Music Dance. This 100% gave back to the community. I bought a building, very large. I remodeled. Turned out it's a beautiful school. In city of Irvine, so I can able to let all the music students able to seeking their stable place, a good music education, as well as dance and vocal. So we just opened early of the year. So.
Oh, that's exciting, and I know that you're also in other types of investments with properties, with almost everything in food, from restaurants to bakeries to,
yes.
You've really crossed a lot of different industries. So as you look back at your career, you've obviously made a lot of decisions.
Yes.
You've made a lot of choices. As you look back, what would you do differently?
I'm not regret what I do in the past. I think a lot of time we still is not every 100% you're gonna win. But I turn around something being C project to B and A, based on united all the great people together and never gave up, and very humble to learn to changing the game plan. And I think that it tips for me, we pounding, working hard, continue to let some C project become B and A. Some project also is not really working out. You need a humble to cut it quick. Otherwise, the bleeding, that's not a really healthy way.
So sometimes you have to know when to say enough.
Yeah. That's why it's you had to pay the price, learn to see when it should be kind of be right off. So we do have a few of those, but I think we still humble. Most you had the turnaround kind of attitude.
No, that's great. So Charlie, if you met somebody new, and like myself or somebody, and they said, I want to start something new. I want to start a new business. I want to start a new company. I want to be a successful entrepreneur. What advice would you give somebody just starting out if they wanted to start a new venture or start a new business? What advice would you give them?
Well, I'm still continue investing. People kind of continue approach you or me. So one of the things I really feel we needed to do, need to humble to see that really that's fitting your personality. You're gonna do all day, every day. You're gonna pay the price. That's you kind of investing. Also, I had to look at the market. Really, it's in the trend, how long those concept, the shelf life. At the end of the day, all about you had to working hard. You had to pay the price to seeking the success. You know, a lot of people love sports. I see enough of a basketball team, football team. There was a losing record when you get in, become championship, because no freebie here. So we had to working hard.
No, and I think that's great. And we earlier on the show, we talked about the need for hard work in some of our earlier quotes. And so what you're telling us now is very consistent with everything we've learned about those folks that have succeeded really do have a strong work ethic. Because not everything is a success right away, right? It
Yes.
takes time.
That's right. You had to pay the price to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Mr. Zhang, you have inspired so many people, and you continue to inspire many people. And really, you're living proof, right here, folks,
Thank you.
that with hard work and determination, courage, humility, you really can make anything happen, that anything is possible. And at this time, I'd just like to say welcome to the Leadership Voice family, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
It's now time for the Leadership Voices Leadership Example. The following 15 Californians are recipients of the Horatio Alger Award in the past 10 years. The Horatio Alger Award recognizes 10 to 12 individuals each year, symbolizing personal initiative, perseverance, leadership, commitment to excellence, community service, and a determination to achieve a better future. Hear that? You know what that means. It's time for today's leadership lesson. Are you ready to learn? Albert Einstein once said, "If you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough." Joining us today on the Leadership Voice is Professor Atul Teckchandani to talk to us about the 3 steps for taking a great idea and activating it in a new venture.
Hi, I'm Dr. Atul Teckchandani, and here's today's leadership lesson. Today, I'll be talking about 3 steps to help you take a great idea and turn it into a new venture. Let's talk about these steps first. Step 1, make sure your new idea solves a problem. Step 2, interview prospective customers. And step 3, put something in front of customers and iterate. Now let's get into detail on each step. Step 1, in a new venture, you must make sure that your idea solves a problem. All successful products or services solve a problem. In fact, many entrepreneurs get started by solving a problem that personally frustrates them. For example, Dropbox got its start when its founder forgot his USB stick at home while he was traveling, and he was frustrated he didn't have the files he needed to get his work done. This led him to write software that synchronized files across the internet so that they could be accessed from any device. Now, let's move on to step 2, interview prospective customers. Once you have an idea for a product or service that will solve a problem, you need to treat that like a hunch or hypothesis that needs to be tested. And the way you test is by talking to customers. Remember, you are assuming people want what you are building. Seek to interview multiple groups of customers by focusing on customer groups that might be dealing with the problem you're trying to solve, and understand a number of things: how pressing of a problem it is, how they're trying to cope with it currently, what workarounds they've devised, what aspects of a solution are must-haves to them, and how much they might be willing to pay for your better solution. And look for trends in this information. Are they indicating interest or lack of interest? And finally, step 3. Put something in front of customers quickly and iterate using customer feedback. Once you have an understanding of your potential customers and their needs, you'll be able to put together a short list of features that your product or service must have. If possible, build an initial version of this product or service, something we often call a minimum viable product or MVP, and give it to customers to use. The people that are most frustrated by the problem you're trying to solve won't mind getting something that's less than perfect. They're happy to get anything that will help them. And best of all, they're willing to give you feedback on how to make it better. Use this feedback to build future versions of this product or service and offer it to wider ranges of customer segments. Now let's go back to Dropbox. If you use Dropbox today, you may recall they have features like the ability to save a file to your tablet so you can access it offline, or to take photos off your camera or smartphone and put them in your Dropbox folder. Well, all of these features came later. The initial version was focused on a single feature, being able to easily access all your files from any device. Let's recap. If you want to take an idea and turn it into a business, 3 steps. Make sure it solves a problem, interview prospective customers to validate there's interest in it, and put something in front of customers quickly and iterate. I wish you the best of luck in your entrepreneurial journey. I'm Atul Teckchandani, and this has been today's leadership lesson.
It's now time for the Leadership Voices Q&A. Do you need some leadership advice? Every show we take questions from you, our viewers, and answer them right here on the show. Today we have 3 questions. Our first question comes from Tina in Claremont, California. She asks, what type of personality traits do successful entrepreneurs typically share? This is an important question because many people out there ask themselves if they have what it takes to make it. One of the most important traits that successful entrepreneurs have is that they are hardworking. Business does not thrive overnight, and success is a process, not a destination. Great leaders that have succeeded in their business development efforts put in the time and hard work to see things through to success. The second trait that great entrepreneurs have is resiliency. The path to success is not a straight one, but rather a jagged one. Great leaders understand this and are able to persevere disappointments and failures and bounce back up when they get knocked down. Our second question comes from Stephanie in Fullerton, California. Stephanie asks, as a leader, what type of internal and external barriers will need to be overcome to be successful? That's a great question. Leadership success requires many things, and one of them is the ability to overcome barriers. The internal barriers that successful leaders must overcome include the need to control and the tendency to do it all yourself. Great leaders have learned that you cannot do everything yourself. You must surround yourself with good people and give them a sense of direction and purpose. The external barrier to success is that you're likely not the only person vying for customers. In other words, competition. If you want to develop a competitive edge, then you will need to find ways to match your skills and your niche to the needs of customers. You do this by always listening to your customers. They will tell you what they need and want, and it will be your job to meet these needs in a way that none of the competition can, and that will give you an advantage over the competition. Our third question comes from Nick in Rowland Heights, California. Nick asks, what lessons seem to be the hardest for leaders to learn? This is an important question. Many leaders make the same mistake over and over again, in that they underutilize their team. It is common for us to want great people. And as leaders, when we find great people, we need to give them the latitude to do their jobs to the best of their abilities. It has been said that one of the most important roles of a leader is to bring the right people on the bus. Well, this is true. Once you have the right people on the bus, you also need to know when to let them drive the bus, navigate the course, select where everyone else should sit on the bus, and choose the songs that everyone will sing on the bus. Simply, you have to put everyone's talents to good use. This has been the Leadership Voices Q&A. If you have a question or need advice, having leadership challenges at work, and need some expertise and insights, send us your questions here to the Leadership Voice by email leadershipvoice@fullerton.edu or contact us by Twitter @CSUF_leadership. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today's show. Today we explored building a business from the ground up and learned from two legendary entrepreneurs that joined us here on the Leadership Voice. Thank you to Mr. Terry Giles from Giles Enterprises and Mr. Charlie Zhang from Zion Enterprises. Thank you also to our faculty guest, Professor Atul Teckchandani, for providing today's leadership lesson. Join us each episode of the Leadership Voice, as we will have 2 more executive guests, plus another special leadership lesson. Lots more worth tuning in to see. I'm Jay Barbuto, and on behalf of the Center for Leadership and Mahalo College of Business and Economics, we'll see you next time right here on the Leadership Voice.